We're recording.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did know it because, I did know it.
I was about to send a text.
Yes, which you sometimes do mid-podcast, so we're blessed that you're showing me enough respect.
I was slightly distracted there now, thinking about something else that's on my mind.
Yes. Multi-thinking wouldn't be your forte,
wouldn't be my forte, no.
No.
And speaking of which, just memory in that.
Yeah.
So Paul Who and Jason Who, the two lesser lights really in the Regency trial, who have been all but forgotten as they, languish in prison since they were convicted at the Special Criminal Court of facilitating the Hutch organisation to carry out the murder of David Byrne in February 2016.
Yeah, so Paul Murphy, who's 63, was given a 9-year sentence, and Jason Bonney was given 8.5 years. Now, Paul Murphy is 63, so he was obviously on bail throughout the Regency trial. We would see him coming in and going out every day. He'd hold the doors open for you and, nod at everybody very pleasantly. But he's obviously going to turn.
He also tried to dip a wallet on the way in one day, which wasn't so pleasant for the owner of it.
But it probably puts even that context of, because I think obviously when you're going into the special criminal or the courts building in general, you have to put things through a kind of an airport style security thing, and somebody put their wallet down and he made a grab at it, I think, and got caught effectively.
I think he lifted it actually. He managed to lift it,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. I always think on those security things when you put everything, especially in the airport, everything you possess goes into it, and you're kind of going, you're hoping your fellow passengers are honest. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of security and cameras and all the rest of it. Probably not so easy to get away with. And indeed, I think that's what got him.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of security around the court. But nonetheless, they are sort of forgotten. They were forgotten in the drama and the spectacle of Jerry the Monk Hutch being found not guilty and walking free. And as they were kind of led down to start serving their sentences to be taken off to prison, nobody was even turned in their direction.
No.
Or considering that they had actually, the state did win, I suppose, 2 convictions in that trial.
Yes.
They lost the big one, but they did see them convicted on the cases they put up to the court against them.
Yeah, so they were basically convicted of facilitating the Hutch crime gang in carrying out the murder of David Byrne at the Regency. Again, as we said before, these are all under these anti-gangland laws where they don't have to be shown, and they clearly weren't at the Regency Hotel when the shooting occurred. But what they're shown is to have basically allowed that to happen, to facilitated that in happening. And the charge was knowing of the existence of the Hutch organised crime gang. So they were getaway drivers effectively, but those laws allowed the state to put them in this context of the existence of a criminal organisation, which the guards stood up in court and described what the Hutch organised crime gang was and what it, and how long it had existed and what it did.
So obviously CCTV footage was very significant in the cases against them, because we watched the movements of the cars going around the city before and after on the day of the murder. That was part of what they used to launch this appeal against a conviction.
Yeah, because obviously, the CCTV, there was hours and hours of it, and it traced both men's movements. The case took so long to get to court because of this CCTV, because the guards would go around to each individual house or shop or whatever the case may be, and they'd have to get that CCTV, and then they put it all together. So they show the movement of cars over a day. Now, they identify the cars primarily through the car regs, but also through other distinguishing features. I can't remember exactly what it was in this case, but there was little bits.
A mark on the back of one beside one of the wheels or above it.
So the appeal basically said that, okay, you can see the car reg as it drives out of Jason Bonney's house, for example. You can see his car reg, and then you follow it, and it doesn't show. The appeal said it doesn't basically show that car reg at certain key moments. In particular, I think at the football, the GA pitch after the shooting occurs, and the grounds of the appeal was launched on the basis that you can't say beyond reasonable doubt that is the same car, because you can't see the reg But that was rejected by the Special Criminal Court, said that, it was discussed in court at the time. There are these identifying features, and that it is reasonable to say that it is effectively the same car.
So the Court of Criminal Appeal has rejected their complaints about the treatment of defence witnesses who gave alibi evidence. Now, that was in relation to a lady who gave evidence in relation to Bonney, Jason Bonney, showing up at her property or around her property around the time of the murder. And also the court rejected the admissibility of rebuttal evidence to that testimony, which was a peculiar piece of that trial.
Yeah.
Because, of course, relatives of Bonney himself were the ones who sort of said that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or certain elements of the testimony didn't happen. So they also, complained about the admissibility of that CCTV evidence. But also Paul Murphy, in his appeal, said that he knew the Hutch family when he was young, but there was no evidence that he knew that Eddie and Patsy Hutch were members of the Hutch organised crime group.
So his contention, I suppose, is not that he wasn't there or his car wasn't there, because he was quite clearly, he was there. But his contention was that he didn't know that there was any plot going on, and that he was just there, and it was a coincidence, and he wasn't told of the existence of that. And of course, that's a key bit of the charge. It's not enough for him just to be there, but he has to have knowledge and knowingly facilitate the murder plot effectively. But that was rejected again. Murphy had advanced 38 grounds of appeal, and Bonney had put forward just 8. So they were all roundly rejected, and a lot of what the Supreme Court the Court of Appeal was saying in Murphy's case was that these convictions are safe, that these are reasonable inferences, that they are tested in court, and that the trials were satisfactory and the verdicts were fully safe.
Yeah. Now, in the courts of criminal appeal, you can appeal the conviction, but you can also appeal the length of sentence, which could go either way for you, because there has been cases that people have appealed the length of sentence and ended up getting a longer one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't always work in the other direction. And the court did hear that both the men are also appealing the severity of their sentences, which will undoubtedly come up in the coming months.
Yeah, and of course the severity of the sentence would take a number of factors into account, such as a guilty plea, for example, which didn't arise in this case. If somebody had an extensive criminal past, which neither men do, in fairness, or that obviously then that other factors can be taken in mitigation. Now, you're right that sometimes these appeals are brought against the severity of the sentence, and I've seen it even on the day of the appeal it was withdrawn, where they obviously get the feeling, this is going to go totally wrong. But yeah, you can appeal that.
It really goes totally wrong if you appeal the severity of your sentence, you end up getting a longer one.
Exactly. Of course, the DPP can appeal as well and say it's not long enough. Both men now have been in prison for how long?
So 2023, was it?
Yeah.
I think it was, the trial lasted from January to April of 2023.
April 23.
And there was a break to come back with the verdicts because there was Easter.
Yeah.
And the verdicts came back after Easter. So that must have been April. It couldn't have gone any later than April 2023.
So they're 2.5 years in.
Yeah, but they've still a long sentence.
So they have a good long sentence to go. They'd be entitled to remission, where they will get at least a couple of years off their sentence as well. But they still have a long way to go. And certainly Mr. Murphy is going to be going to prison, a middle-aged man, and come out a pensioner. He'll be over 66 and will be able to get his bus card and all of that.
Both were fully convinced, I think, that they had no case to answer.
Well, I think Jason Bonney definitely was he?
He was. I think Paul Murphy was as well, because I remember having a cup of coffee and Paul Murphy joining me briefly, which was all very bizarre as well, as you were covering the court case, because they were wandering around the building at lunch and all the rest of it. And just having a chat with him, and he said that he had big plans, that he was hoping, he couldn't wait for the trial to end. I think he said he was finding it pretty stressful. And he was off to Spain. He was going to make a new life for himself in Spain.
Yeah.
The stress of it, I would have thought, was the coming in and out. I actually nearly think, given the nature of the trial, that you'd have been better off in custody.
Yeah.
You know, because the walking in and out of the courts there's only so many ways you can do that. Yeah. And, they were being identified by the state, both Bonney and Murphy, as essentially not members. They weren't being charged with membership of the Hutch organisation, but they were facilitating, and they were part of the plot, and they were being identified as people who had helped in the getaway and the whole plot to kill David Byrne. And of course, we know that the years and the aftermath of that resulted in the murder of many people. There was a lot of people whose lives were under threat, who were given gym forms, etc., for having any involvement with the Hutch family, even, as opposed to the organised crime group. So yes, I can imagine it was stressful. Maybe prison was been a little bit of a...
Well, I don't know. I mean, prison must also be, because of the connections the Kinahans and their associates have within that system. It can't be a massively comfortable place to be in either.
Anyway, that's where they're at the moment. No doubt we will hear the appeal regarding the severity of their sentences in the coming months. Interesting to think that also in the coming months we're going to see the 10th anniversary of the Regency. Yeah. A story that still filters into pretty much everything that's done around organised crime. That was such a moment for the state in its change. I think its approach to organised crime groups. I think the state has taken a much more proactive approach from a policing point of view since that happened. And it changed a lot of people's lives for a very long time.
Well, if you look at the levels of gangland murders in this country, I mean, it is absolutely
zero.
It's almost zero.
It's the lowest in Europe. Do you know that?
Yeah, and a lot of that can obviously be put down, I think, to the policing response to the Regency, and it's been a broader policing response than maybe we once would have had back in the day, where at that stage it would have been sort of cops on the ground, maybe kicking indoors. But this has been a much more complex approach to it, to smother the sort of the drug cartels really at all levels. So financially, CAB has worked overtime. We saw all of the homes of Kinahan associates that were included in the recent annual report. They've taken out a lot of the financial incentive in this country. We're talking about the use of laws there, the facilitation laws, all of that, which really had sort of fallen into abeyance before this policing response. So they've used that, and they will continue to use that again and again, and may even use it against some of the leaders of the Kinahan cartel. And then the international cooperation, which has been absolutely immense, certainly didn't exist to that extent before the Regency. And, they haven't just tackled at it from one angle. They seem to have come at it from all sides, and it did take a bit of time. But it has been a phenomenal success, really.
Okay, well, we'll leave that for the moment. Thanks, Niall.
Thanks, Nicola.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.